Hi, I am Marsha Mullens. I am the technical director for an assessment organization in the Department of Defense. I lead a wide variety of software programmers, engineers, um, cybersecurity personnel, and a wide mix of military, contractor, and government civilians in my position. And I was uh, honored to be selected by my organization as a cohort in the Ascend Executive Leadership Program.
Outstanding. Yeah. And it was a pleasure working with you and coaching, seeing your comments through the process, through all the courses. Let me get right to the chase. Marsha, what were some of the outcomes that you've experienced after going through the Ascend program?
So I'll just start from the very end. By the time I finished the program, my job got so easy. um, I think it gave me the skills needed to set my team on the right path, to have them motivated, to build the interpersonal relationships and trust amongst each other to get their job done without a whole lot of oversight from me. And it allowed me to step back and focus on the strategic things that my leadership needed me to be focused on, to set forth a path for the future, not just focused on our today's tasks. Um, and really, it was sort of that combination of positive accountability, managing conflict, coalescing a team around common mission and vision. Um, just so many great skills that I got from the program. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I'm glad to hear it. So you said, I love how you said by the end of the program, my job got so easy. Can you, or do you want to share what your job was like before or when we first met at the beginning of the program?
Yeah. So I will tell you, and David, you kind of opened my eyes to it after our first few coaching sessions, and I didn't realize it at the time. But I think my team thrived on chaos. Everybody knew what needed to be done, but nobody was giving them timelines or schedules. And a lot of times things got postponed until they became an emergency. And the team was very good at fixing and dealing with emergencies on the spot. They were well known for it and almost took pride in it. Um, and that was something that you gave me the skills to kind of turn around, to get the team more thinking about the future, meeting timelines. Everything isn't an emergency anymore, and that is a huge factor in making the job easier.
Yeah, it's you said when we first met, you said my team thrives on these emergency situation. And it's so funny. I think I probably shared that I'd heard other leaders say similar things, but what it turns out is that they only work when their back is against the wall. They're idling more than not. Not that they're not doing work, but they're not focusing on the top priorities. And now you're able to do that, give them those priorities and help them to stay focused on them till they complete them. Because I remember it's probably 5 to 6 months in where we had gotten to a point where you started saying, David, it's easy. They're not, they're not, they're actually, doing the stuff when we expected it and when it was asked for. And it was a little surprising, but with your guidance, they were able to step up to the role and step up to the expectations that you basically shared that you had for them.
Yeah. And I have to tell you that the thing that surprised me most in those first few months was how receptive they were to it. They needed it. They wanted it. I guess I had a fear that, once I started giving them deadlines and doing the follow-ups, and checking in with them weekly, that I would be perceived as micromanaging them. That is not at all how they took it. They appreciated that I cared enough to check in and that I trusted them, to do the job between those check-ins. And my expectations were clear. They didn't have to guess what I
Exactly.
wanted from them. So they were way more receptive to it than I expected. It was great.
It was. I mean, it was great watching it happen. I'm telling you from the sidelines, I remember how our coaching sessions shifted from like fire drills to future focused. And that was just an amazing transition, amazing transformation for you. And I know from my perspective, watching it was great. And I know from your perspective, in experiencing it, it was also great.
Yeah.
Let me ask, because we did coach and we did some courses, give me your overall take on the process. What did you think about the courses, the cohort, the coaching, all that good stuff? What was your thoughts on that? How did that play into the outcomes you received?
Yeah, so I loved every bit of it. The online sessions, the self-paced lessons um, were really beneficial to me. I got to do them on my own time, when I was focused and prepared to do them. I love that they're recorded. There were so many times where I'd go back and say, oh, what did he say? And I took notes through almost all of them. And that, I think, set my mind um, with some questions for you, and some very specific skills that I'm like, oh yes, I like that idea and I want to do better at that. So then our one-on-one coaching, by far the most beneficial, enjoyable, not just because you're a wonderful person to talk to,
Oh,
um, but you you definitely asked hard questions. And I remember so often you would ask me a question and I would just think on it, because the way that you asked it, it caused me to think about things the way I've never have before. And I loved it because almost every time you'd ask me a question and I would answer it, and you'd ask me a follow-up question. And by the end of the discussion, I had basically answered my own, you know, issue where, like, I came up with, through your leading, how I should approach a specific situation, or, how I personally should implement the skills that were being discussed. So the coaching was by far sort of the way to get from sort of the theoretical to
mhm.
the actual implementation, and what it meant for me to implement those things with my specific team. So that was really great. And the cohort, um, honestly, our cohort in our organization were extremely busy. It was very rare for all of us to be on at the same time.
Mhm.
But even when we were, kind of hearing the same skills being developed in a different person in a different way, um, was really beneficial. And now I have those people on my colleagues list, that I can ring up and talk to. That was great. And then the last part was the monthly reading. I really enjoyed the books. Um, they were on topic. They went kind of above and beyond some of the topics in the lessons, but from a completely different perspective, an author who specialized in that particular um, skill or topic or area of study. So I just think it was all four of those things together: the online courses, the coaching, the cohort development, and the reading. It was just like a perfect blend that made total sense to me.
Outstanding. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I have a couple more questions.
Mhm.
One, since the program finished, how have you, I know we haven't had our coaching session, so the world's been a dark and dreary place, what, until now that we're reunited, and that's great.
Right?
But but the just going from before, during, now you're in the after stage of ascend. Give me your kind of perspective on things now. What have you seen shift in your leadership style that wouldn't have been there or wouldn't have been as pronounced before ascend?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I am most proud of coming out of this is that I have continued to hold what I'll call all hands where I bring my entire team together on a regular basis. It's been about every other month. Um, get them all in one room, revisit every time over and over again. What's our mission?
Yep.
What's the organization trying to accomplish? What is my vision for how my team tasks contribute to meeting that vision? I give them updates on where our leadership is, what we're trying to accomplish, and then I take the opportunity to get into what I call soft skills or soft conversations. I take an opportunity to talk to them a little bit about diversity, about respecting one another. We brainstorm ways to build relationships. What are things we can do outside the office? Should we be doing more social meetings? We've actually started a book club.
Nice.
So that we can work on that interpersonal relationship and personal respect above and beyond the professional workplace. So really, I've been doing 5P meetings. For those of you that don't know what a 5P meeting is, take the course. You'll find out. They're really helpful. I've been doing high touch individual email chats with every one of my employees monthly. Gives me personal feedback, makes me become a better leader, helps me understand each one of them better and what they're concerned about. And then being able to work with my section leads on implementing accountability in an effective way. So I just so many things, but it has created a team that is really high performing and gives me great feedback as a leader.
Outstanding. So the next question is almost perfunctory at this point. Would you recommend Arrington Coaching for our coaching and for the Ascend program?
Absolutely. I will tell you that our command, and this is command wide, did a organizational climate study. And they put together a tiger team, select people throughout the command to meet with our 3-star general to brainstorm ways to address issues that came up in the study. And one of the things that came up was being treated. People didn't always feel like they were being treated fairly. And there was a lot of discussion on diversity, and that diversity awareness training does nothing because it doesn't give people the skills they need to really respect and start to consider diversity in everyday situations, not just when they're in the middle of the training. And I actually recommended to the 3-star, I thanked her, for having this program be available to folks in our organization. But I also recommended some very specific lessons from the program that I thought would be extremely beneficial to everybody in the command. So,
outstanding.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. Well, you said not only would I recommend, but I've already recommended to our 3-star. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I meant to give you this. This isn't just for the recommendation, but this was for all the things that you're still doing after the program, because that's the key takeaway for me. It's not just, like you said, going through a training and after the training, it's just in one ear and out the other. For me, I love hearing the stories of transformation of here's where I was, here's where my team was, here's where our organization was. And now 8 months later, we're in a whole different place and the entire world is in front of us. And we're doing everything at full speed. That is what really makes me excited and what keeps me excited about doing this job and working with wonderful folks like you.
Oh, well, thank you for everything.
You're very, very welcome.